Hi everybody, it's Jessica, and this is another edition of Raleigh Rambles, where I process something that I'm thinking about out loud and share it with all of you. I apologize for the dark lighting here in my car as I'm driving home this evening. It is getting dark much earlier these days, so it makes it a little bit hard to record my videos during my commute, but thought I would give this one a go. Today I want to talk about finding your element, or getting in the zone when it comes to particularly your profession. I think that when we talk about finding your happy place, sometimes it's a little bit easier to find and stay in your happy place, at least for me, when it comes to things that are outside of your work. I think part of that is because we have such little time to do those things, whether they are hobbies or sports or the arts or whatever those things are that bring out our creative side, or if you're the kind of person who likes to bring out your competitive side, bring that out. I think that because we don't have as much time to dedicate to those things, it can sometimes be easier to stay in that zone. It's obviously hard to find time to do those things, but I think that there's something unique about your career that, at least for me, creates some challenges when you are invested in it 5 and sometimes 6 days a week, and you're spending so many hours investing in that profession. I think that sometimes it can be hard to find your happy place, but then also to stay in your happy place. And I guess to define, at least for me, my happy place, it's that place where you are invigorated by your work, and you are sometimes really excited by it. You are passionate and inspired by it, but it's also a good challenge, and not so much of a challenge or so open-ended of a challenge that you have no idea how to tackle it or where to start, or it feels very daunting, but sort of that zone where it's a good enough challenge that it keeps you learning and growing and thinking and seeking out new experiences and new opportunities, but it also feels very much in your it feels very much in your power to continue to grow in that area. And it also feels, you feel confident in it. You feel like you have something to offer, and that you know that you have skills and abilities and interests that you can bring to the table to not only tackle what it is that you're working on, but also to use that as a jumping off point to continue that learning and that growth and seeking out what you need. Sort of that idea of leveraging your strengths to be able to, keep going on that path. So that's sort of what I think of as a happy place when it comes to work. And I totally acknowledge that it is not possible to stay in that happy place all the time. And I think that it definitely ebbs and flows, and it depends on, in education especially, I think it can even depend on the seasons or the time of year. But I think a happy place is something that at least you find it very frequently, or I would hope that people would be able to leverage the times when it's really, really good for the few times a year where it might be a little bit more challenging, or you're just not feeling it. And so I guess the thing that I'm really interested in thinking about is how do you craft that sustainability of your happy place so that you can continue to be in that realm. I had a really interesting experience today, and I've had several of these experiences in the past couple of months, but today there was one in particular that really caught me off guard, and I was quite surprised by. And that was that I was in a meeting with a lot of other folks from different departments. And the funny thing is that most of these people are people who I've worked with, and some of them are even friends of mine, people who I've spent more than just a few meetings with, but who I've worked on in the same department as them, or collaborated on projects with them, or even people who I've had after work drinks with, or had a chance to hang out with for lunch. These are not all people who I've never met before, and certainly they are not people who I would necessarily say intimidate me. And when I say intimidate, I mean, it's not a room full of executive directors who I would feel a little bit more nervous sitting around, near or whatnot. But in any event, I was in this room with this group of great people, and I had something that there was a question posed, and I had something that I wanted to share that is something that I think about quite frequently, and it's something that we talk about on our team a lot, and it's very much within my scope of work. And I opened my mouth without thinking too much of it. I mean, I tend to be one of those people who will think about what I'm going to say before I say it, and sort of have the conversation in my head before opening my mouth. It may be my perfectionist tendencies, who knows, but I thought about it a little bit, but I wasn't really nervous about sharing what I wanted to say. And as the words were coming out of my mouth, I sort of tripped over them and froze and felt so ridiculously uncomfortable, and kind of was kicking myself and sort of saying to myself, like, why did you open your mouth, Jessica? Like, just listen, just be here. You don't need to contribute. And that kind of upset me that I felt that way, because I was confused by it. I am not generally a person who, especially in that type of situation, would be nervous or uncomfortable sharing my thoughts or ideas. And I realized that it was almost like I was out of practice in speaking in front of other people, and in like an impromptu way. So, I started thinking about it more this afternoon, like, why did that happen? What was going on? And I also acknowledged that, it's possible that it's just you have an off day and you start to talk and you didn't really think your idea through and you trip over things, and that happens. And that's I understand that. But it was just, there was something different about it today. And I started thinking about it more and realized, well, I'm out of practice. Like, I do not interact with other people, especially in groups that size, in that sort of way very often anymore. And that also surprised me a little bit, to feel out of practice in that situation and in that context, because it's a situation and context that I don't know, I sort of feel like I've been building towards for a long time. And for the past couple of years, I've been in a lot of those rooms with some of the exact same people and have had no problem whatsoever sharing my ideas and having really great conversations with those people. And so it kind of caught me off guard that it's something that I don't do very often. And it got me really thinking about how it's something that I enjoy. And, just being able, I guess it sort of felt maybe a little bit like when you are a teacher and you spend, weeks and weeks and weeks in your classroom and doing your thing, and then you have the opportunity to go to a conference, or you have the opportunity to, go to a district meeting even. And I remember always feeling like that was super exciting and like it was something special. Like, oh yay, I got to get out of my classroom today. I loved my classroom, I did. But it's nice to just have something a little different and a change of pace. And I realized that meeting today was a vast change of pace for me. And I don't know, I guess it upset me a little bit, because I was so excited to get to talk to these other people. And it wasn't, anything of huge consequence that we were talking about, but even just being in the room with those people, to be able to say, oh, hi, I haven't seen you in a while. And, getting a chance to catch up with somebody who, is on my former team, and being able to just hear more about his work and what he's doing. The meeting got done early, so we got to sit there for 10 minutes and just kind of chat about the things that they're working on. And I got actually really excited and invigorated by just that 10-minute conversation. And I walked away thinking, like, why am I not collaborating with him more? Why do I not get to see his team more often and work with them more closely? Because it was exciting and invigorating, and it really energized me to have that conversation. And I think in the midst of all that, while it was very great, it also made me sad. Made me sad that I don't have those opportunities more often. And I guess I'm not really sure what to do with that yet, because on the other hand, I certainly do not want my calendar filled with meetings that are not all that useful or relevant to my work. And maybe it's a bit of a side effect of getting really focused on our team and having a very specific scope of our work. And that means that generally I'm collaborating with my teammates and with a couple of other people, depending on the other collaborations or projects we're doing. But I guess I just sort of felt like a kid who doesn't get out much when I was in that situation. And so I don't know, I've been thinking a lot lately about how do you find your happy place or your sweet spot, and then how do you sustain it? Because I really thought that I found it. And I think that when I first left the classroom, I was in my sweet spot for a long time. And I think that due to organizational and management sort of things that were going on around me, and big shifts in our department, it made it harder for me to stay in my sweet spot. But for the most part, there was definitely some things that I had changed and grown and had different ideas, and so that was impacting things a bit. But for the most part, it felt like external factors. And I'm just in a situation now where I'm thinking again about, like, how do I sustain this sweet spot? Because on paper, it's perfect. On paper, it's everything that I wanted and everything that I've worked towards and dream of. And when people suggest the thought of not being in this spot anymore, that really makes me sad. And I'm not ready to let go of it and to give it up. But gosh, if I can't figure out how to get back into feeling like it's a bit more of a sweet spot. I don't know. I just really want to figure that out, because I want to be invigorated by my work, and I want to feel excited by it sometimes, and feel, I know that another thing too for me with my sweet spot is I have to feel like I'm having an impact, and that my work matters. And I'm not sure what that says about myself, but I need to feel appreciated and valued for the work that I'm doing, but I also need to feel like I don't know that it's the idea of like leaving a legacy necessarily. If I walk away and the work stays and people have no idea who created it or that I had anything to do with it, I really am truly okay with that. I don't need my name on it. But just for me personally, I want to know that if I, fell off the face of the earth tomorrow, that the work that I had been doing and the things I've been investing my time in, that those would be lasting, that they have served a purpose and they had an impact, that if I go away, those don't just go away too. I don't want my work to live with me. I want it to live with teachers and students and people in central office. And and maybe it's just a matter of it is, and I just don't feel like it is. But I really want to know that the things that I'm doing are meaningful and worthwhile. I guess it's sort of that conundrum of like, what's the point of doing what I'm doing if it's not going to have that impact or it's not helping to make things better? So anyway, that is a ramble, but that's just kind of where my head is at right now. And I don't know if anybody out there has ideas about finding your sweet spot or how you sustain being in that happy place. I would really love to hear your ideas or strategies or tips or tricks for being able to do that, because it's definitely something that I have on my mind a lot and that I need to figure out. So thank you for listening if you've made it this far. I hope that it has been at least remotely helpful to you, and I will talk to you all very soon.